On the show, in Wheelspin, we drive the sporty compact car from Fiat, the 595 Abarth. In Wheelspin, we look at some affordable automatic cars in the market. And in the best of luxury driving, we drive the new Mercedes C-Class to Allahabad. What I have with me today is a car you might not have seen that often on Indian roads. But the fact is that this remains one of the world's most popular cars and has been around for many years. In fact, it somewhat revived the fortunes of Fiat when they relaunched these cars some years back. Yes, the Fiat 500. But what I have here is not the simple Fiat 500, but it is the 500 Abarth. Abarth is the racing wing of Fiat, which means that this 500 is all juiced up and meant for performance. And the good news is that you are going to soon see this on Indian roads as Fiat is planning to launch this. The Fiat 500 might wear a different set of designer clothes and use the 595 Abarth badging to make it stand out. But in terms of dimensions, it remains identical to the regular Fiat 500 with a length of 3.6 meters and a wheelbase of 2.3 meters. But it does get a few extras in terms of features like an electric sunroof, xenon headlamps and 17-inch alloy wheels as far as the exteriors go. When you get in behind the wheels of this Abarth, the first feeling you get is that you've stepped in behind the wheels of a production-ready race car. Everything feels really nice and chunky, and the steering wheel is leather-wrapped, very nice to hold, and the pedal shifts tell you that this is a fast car. And what will strike you is the absence of a conventional gear lever. Because if you look here, you don't find a lever here, instead you find buttons. And with this, you can engage the gear, in fact. And you can also choose between the automatic or a manual transmission. And if you really want to make this Abarth go fast, then there is a sports option here, which also makes the steering wheel input a little harder. In fact, to move it, you will have to make an effort when the car is stationary. But on the highway and around corners, the sports mode is the one you want to be in because it helps you corner very, very fast. The Abarth is a very small car, it's a very small compact and it's very, very narrow. But in terms of styling, in terms of features, nothing really has been compromised. If you look at the instrumentation here, it's a single binnacle, but it gives you all the information that you might need. A tachometer, a digital speedometer readout, a fuel consumption gauge, name it, and you got everything here. In fact, it's quite self-sufficient here. The steering wheel also has multifunction buttons here to access your stereo, as well as your mobile phone, which you shouldn't be using in any case while driving. If the exteriors got some changes, then the interiors to get their share with leather upholstery, TFT instrumentation cluster, chrome door handles and a sound system with a hands-free operation and an USB drive. Plus, of course, plenty of Abarth badging splashed all over the place. And what it also gets is dual airbags and parking sensors for safety. This Fiat Abarth here is powered by a 1.4-litre turbocharged petrol unit, which churns out 160 brake horsepower. And if you think that this 160 brake horsepower is a modest figure, I can tell you, you will quickly change your mind after you start driving it. Because in a light, small, compact like this helps it accelerate the car very fast. It gets off the block quite fast. In fact, you would enjoy darting from one red light to another in city traffic. It's small, it's compact, so you can weave in and out of the city traffic very effectively. The Abarth here sits on a small wheelbase and the suspension is tuned for performance, which means it's real hard. And if you throw her around a series of corners, you will be impressed with the handling. When I throw her around a corner very fast, I feel like I'm sitting on an overgrown car. It handles so well, holds the line very, very well. And in fact, I can only wish for one thing here: more power. The Abarth here is quite adequate actually to live with on an everyday basis. This is a car you'd love to take to office because parking this car is not a hassle. The compact size ensures that. And if you do go out of the car for a long highway cruise, you will not be disappointed because there is plenty of juice coming from this small engine up front which will keep you very happy, especially if you happen to be a keen driver. Overall, I think I quite like the Abarth. This is what a small car should be. Fast, maneuverable and compact.
The engine is mated to an AMT transmission and it also comes with a sports mode. And once you switch to the sports mode, the ECU changes the power output too and the torque goes up by some 29 Newton meters to 230 Newton meters. And this is delivered at around 2750 RPM, which might be a bit too high for the Indian conditions. But on a highway drive, this translates into a nice driving experience. However, to make it handle more like a sports car, Fiat has lowered the car and it is the ground clearance of 105 millimeters, which might prove to be much too low for our Indian roads.
The Abarth here is a two-door car, but technically it's a four-seater. But like in all two-seaters, it's going to be a bit of an exercise to get into the back seat because you'll have to fold the seat down. And then even if you do manage to get into the rear seat, it's going to be a tight squeeze even if you're a normal-sized adult. But the good part is that the Abarth might be lacking in space, but it certainly isn't lacking in style or in terms of features. It pretty much has everything that you would need in a small hatch. And it also has a very high style and performance quotient. Take the example of the seats here. They're bolstered all around and intended to keep you in your seat even if you corner very hard. The chrome garnishing on the door handles look very nice, and you even have a turbo boost meter to remind you that you are driving a performance hatch. And in fact, I quite like the interiors. Fiat is going to launch this car, in fact, by the end of this year. And what they're going to do is import this car as a completely built-up unit, which in turn again means that this is going to be an expensive affair. But what this car should do for Fiat is to give their brand value a big boost. And what you as a customer will get is a car which is almost of iconic stature. Plus, it's high on style and it has performance written all over it. But then be prepared to pay for it.
And if by now you have made up your mind and you are ready to pay for it, then the Abarth will cost you around rupees 25 lakhs when it is launched in the first half of this year. The Abarth might not seem like a car which is great value for money, but then it is not positioned as one. It is meant to be a car which will give you some amount of exclusivity as an owner, and as a driver you will not only enjoy the performance but also the attention you will get with it. Coming up next, in Wheelspin, we look at some affordable automatic cars in the market.